President Macron, Secretary General, distinguished colleagues, heads, distinguished guests, people of the world. The power of silence, as we just learned, and the power of voice, as we must give expression to today. The danger of inaction or slow action, and the fundamental difference that committing and walking the walk and not just talking the talk will mean. We come to Paris today with a heavy heart, but with hope. We come to Paris today not to reinforce the divisions of the past, the orders of the past, but we come to Paris to identify the common humanity that we share and the absolute moral imperative to save our planet and to make it livable. We don't need a lot more words today. And quite honestly, I don't know that I have it in me to give more words. As I speak to you, my country, that of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and others in the Caribbean, in the Eastern Caribbean, are under a tropical storm watch for Tropical Storm Beth, literally. Yesterday, I had to decide whether to stay or to go. And I chose to stay because it is important that we move to action. Behind Tropical Storm Beth is another system. And hence, this is our new reality. We have heard this morning from Vanessa. We've heard from the economists. We've heard from the president of Niger. And everyone has spoken truth with feeling, with clarity. And Emmanuel, I've left you for last, because privately I call this the How Dare You Summit. How dare you? How dare you upset the order? How dare you step out of your crease and summon us all to this inflection moment that will determine whether we will have the capacity and the will to bring pace and scope to the problem. I can tell you that there has been movement. Yes, 9 months ago, no one was speaking about natural disaster clauses. Now we have people wanting to recognize the wisdom of it, because countries do need to pause debt payments if they are going to house and feed people who are victims of a climate crisis. Doesn't quite work as well for those who have to move people who are suffering from drought, as the president of Malawi has had to do. So we need to perfect it. 9 months ago, no one was talking about multilateral development bank reform at scale. And Ajay, the World Bank was not as forceful in its commitment to the crisis of climate as it is now. And we wish you all the best, because in your hands lies the need for pace and scope. 9 months ago, we were not prepared to discuss issues of debt. And Kristalina, when no one else was stepping up during the pandemic, yes, you led the way, recognizing that your duty was not only to deal with the symptoms of the balance of payments problems, but to go back to the treaty and its underlying objective of securing growth and macro and financial and economic stability. But what is required of us is not simply to mark a card for progress. As we heard from Vanessa, what is required of us now is absolute transformation and not reform of our institutions. And that transformation is required because while the world knew since the 1890s that we were facing the warming of the climate, we chose not to heed the advice of scientists. And that which could have been done in more than a century is now being reduced to be done in less than a decade. And Secretary General, my heart bleeds for you, because yours has been almost that constant voice in the wilderness. But I say to you that it has not been in vain. As you heard from President Macron this morning, there is now the beginning of the understanding that poverty and climate cannot be separated. That education and climate cannot be separated. And later today we will go into the details of what that action must look like, much of which we have put in the Bridgetown Initiative, not because we believe we have the answers alone, but simply because we had the will to pull people together and say, let us discuss these issues and let us make enough noise consistently to command the attention of those who must speak and who must act. I ask us today not to leave Paris without understanding that the bolstering of the political ambition that is required must secure transformation and not reform. And I ask us to ensure that those of us who are heads of government and heads of state recognize that the world cannot continue in the shadow of an old imperial order that does not see countries, does not feel countries, does not hear countries, and worse, does not see, feel, or hear people. I ask us today to recognize that we cannot come to Paris but let our directors go back to the IMF or the World Bank and it be business as usual. They do not act in their own interests. They act on behalf of our sovereign states. And that is why we speak not only to the need for money, we speak to the need for the reform of the governance systems. Because when these institutions were founded, our countries did not exist. And we speak for a complete transformation of securing the sources of capital, as unpopular as it might be to voice it. We do not ask for the bankruptcy of private companies. That's not our wish. But we do ask for everybody to share the burden so that we can share the bounty. And it therefore means that simply relying and holding only governments accountable has run its course. And what is necessary now is for us to bring to the table also multinational corporations whose balance sheets dwarf more than 2/3 of the world's states. That is the world we have created out of the last century. And if we don't recognize that they cannot be left out of the equation, I'm coming. If they don't recognize that they cannot be left out of the equation, then we have no desire to solve the problem. And we thank philanthropy for what they do, but it can't only be what they like. It has to be what the world needs. And I hope that we leave Paris, therefore, not only secure in our determination to protect the planet, to protect the biodiversity, to protect people, but to recognize that if we do not act today at scale, with pace, we will not be able to get there in time to save more people. Let us, as the representatives of our people, at this most unique time in the history of civilization, not only do the right thing, but do it in time and do it for the right reasons. We will have more time in the next day and a half to discuss the details. But my plea simply now is to step up the pace and let's get going. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Première ministre. Pour conclure cette cérémonie d'ouverture.
Once again, guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Larry, and thank you for watching this video. Well, I believe you are well knowledge equipped about who this bold woman is, about who this bold leader is, about who this fighter is. She is the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mottley. Well, the name speaks for itself, which simply translates to my love, and it's clearly you can see how everybody loves Mottley. Everybody loves Mottley, except those Western leaders and of course African leaders and other crude Caribbean leaders, for her outrageous work, for her unwavering support, for her will to keep on fighting for the rights of the Caribbean people and for all of the black nations. And generally, she is always fighting to save humanity. Well, I believe we all know that we have a lot of crude leaders out here. People who only care about their pockets. People who only care about their well-being, who only care about their position in power. They don't care about the well-being of our country. They don't care about the well-being of the citizens of that country. And in general, again, humanity. They don't care about humanity at all. So Mottley, she is majorly known for that. Fighting for humanity. Now, in this video, you've seen during the new Global Finance Pact Summit, Mottley, once again, congratulations, because she is the first bold leader to have the audacity and the courage to tell Mr. Emmanuel Macron that how dare you. And that's why you heard she had to tell them boldly that she prefers to call this summit a how dare you summit, because people are really doing the opposite of what they are supposed to be doing. Now you tell me, apart from Ibrahim Traore, which other leader do you think can have the guts, the audacity to say the words that Mottley said in the summit? Our leaders, they have turned out to be puppets. They can never say something boldly that speaks up for the rights of his people and humanity. What they only care about is, if I say that, is if I confront this leader, if I confront this Western leader about what I feel they are doing wrong towards people, this leader might cut some ties with my country. And by cutting those ties, of course, the ties that they have with these Western leaders, they don't benefit the country. They don't benefit the citizens of this country, because, as I told you earlier, it's only for the white people's benefit for them to invest in your country. It's not for your own benefit. And most of it's all corrupt because of our corrupt leaders. That's why they feel like afraid. Let me call them cowards. They can't even express, they can't speak up. I mean, the leaders have turned out to be sellouts, total sellouts. You'd rather please this Western leader than serve your own people right. The people who put you in charge, the people who made you who you are, the people who gave you those powers that you currently misusing. You using your powers wrong to hurt your own people. So Mia Mottley, she boldly speak up, and as you've heard in the video, she is a fighter. She doesn't care what other people think. She doesn't. And that's why I'd say she continuously fights for humanity. In all the summits that we've seen, all the summits that we've witnessed, Mia Mottley always drops a bombshell on these leaders, on these crude leaders. She always does that. She is fighting for freedom of all the black nations. If only these other leaders could follow and give her support. These are the kind of leaders that we want. Mia Mottley, we have Ibrahim Traore, the kind of leaders that we want. Leaders who knows what their people needs. Leaders who care about the well-being of their country and the citizens of that country. Not just their position in power, their well-being, their financial status, and living a lavish life, a luxurious life. Such leaders will save humanity. These are the kind of leaders that we want. Leaders who can save us from oppression. I mean, the same leaders are the ones oppressing us. They are misusing the powers. So, how I do wish that these African leaders, and also to those crude Caribbean leaders, that they can follow the lead of Ibrahim Traore and also the Prime Minister of Barbados, who's Mia Mottley. So thank you guys for sticking with me up to this point of this video. Thank you for your support and your love, the much love and support you've shown towards me. I just appreciate it so much. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you're yet to subscribe, and to my returning subscribers, my returning viewers, I want you to feel much welcomed on board. Otherwise, I'm your host Larry, and until we meet again, peace out.